Okay, welcome back everyone to week 2 of season 3, installation 3 of the Clarion Corp trials. A bit of a smaller turnout this time around. Only got 3 teams vying for 2 spots remaining in the finale, the final selection. We got in this first matchup, one holdover from last week. We have, as some people have dubbed them, the People's Team, the Bald Pregnant Men are up against Neem Tame. These are both holdovers from last week, trying to get off to a good start. Came up a little short 7 days ago, but will be looking to right their wrongs. They've had more time to come together to coalesce to form a game plan. So we'll see who gets off on the right foot here. And we'll just given that there's low-key only 2 games to be played, it seems like a win is more crucial than it would be otherwise. All right, here we go. We are getting into the swing of things. Lobby is going. Wait, oh, do I? It's low XP rubbers. Wait, the bald pregnant men aren't here. I'm throwing. This isn't the bald pregnant men. Oh, my bad. I had to call an audible with the prod there. I can't lie. Interestingly enough, they've chosen Goo. I don't think Goo was picked a single time last week, so this is definitely untrodden territory. As far as stream is concerned, don't know how either of these players will navigate that. That said, Asher on the Summer Color Fest, I do know is a bit of a comfort pick and always very potent in the pockets here on such maps. Scyther banning the Octavia. I wish I knew the starting Awakenings. You don't see an Octi ban every day of the week, but there it goes. Drek up the other end of the field. That has got to be a target ban. On to Scyther. I do remember Scyther having a pretty solid direct last week on DD. So we'll see what this poor midfielder is forced onto pick-wise as the picks are finalized. Oh, the maps are fixed, bro. I'm a chud. Like, what do you mean? Yeah, bro. I keep forgetting. I should study up on the format. In any case, okay, so nobody picked this map. They were forced to play this chud map, but you know, it's all good. It is manifesting to be an OIA and Orb Ponderer start. Interestingly enough, the only Orb Ponderer pickup across the board picked up by Juno, who is the midfielder on this red side. Interestingly enough, neither goalie opting for orbs, instead opting to fly, I guess. Notably, there's also a eject button Juno on the field. On the other side, we have a more traditional Dubu with the strike shot, though, not looking for Poldrin's value, instead opting to just snipe from afar. Barriers down for both sides, and Melon Ninja caught on the misposition and punished. That is a goal on the board for this newcomer team. Juno shoving it through with the primary and putting this red side up 1-0 on the board.
Yeah, I mean, you do see the Juno goalie on gates, which is not something that you see very often, and he's gonna struggle a lot with the portals and the Estelle in his face.
Here comes Summer Color Fest. Oh, wow. All the while, there's a kill found onto this port. Now, a power play in favor of this red side, and they get it through. They capitalize brilliantly. Melon Ninja and Summer Color Fest are unable to hold on the double defense. Melon Ninja now trying to find a couple of clears to get that thing through. They eventually work it through. Scyther, who's now back on the map, is now pushing up alongside the wall, rather daringly, might I say. Now has dodged their name, so it's a less risky proposition. All the while, Jubu misses the strike shot, meaning that his barrier falls, and Summer Color Fest punishes brilliantly to level the scores here, and it is 1 apiece in set 1. Heading into point 2, both teams even. Juno working it through the portal, but Scyther equal to it with a good primary. Melon Ninja taking their time, looking for a couple smart clears. They do get the ultimate deployed out of Abercrombie, which is one less cooldown that this time he's going to have to push forward. Flip blown by Melon Ninja. Good decision, just getting that thing out of dodge quickly. doesn't mean doesn't have any dodge, is lucky to not be taken off the map by that Juno primary. Jubu, the other presumably Jewish fellow on this red side, does enough with the wall to keep the possession up on that right side of the pitch. The ball finally wriggles free and through Melon Ninja. It's now one barrier apiece for both goalies. As we slowly encroach towards overtime, things are definitely going to get a little more interesting here now that this blue side has lost their barrier, and that is a really salient glitch pop by Abercrombie to feed the ball up into Juno and catch the down clear of Melon Ninja, and that is now 2-1 in favor of this red side.
Yeah, as you can see, because even if they have a lot of creations, they can really cover the portals a lot. As Juno can just get the core through, and then maybe primary or ultimate it. And Juno doesn't really have a lot of defensive capabilities once her primary is down, so she can't really handle that.
Ooh, Summer Color Fest almost dying there. Does get killed on the second time of asking, and that is pretty suspect flip usage, I must say. Honestly, I was surprised that didn't connect. Maybe that's a ping issue? I don't know, but all Europeans like get consistently low ping IQ, so I don't know what's up with that. In any case, it does mean that neither team is able to take the set just yet. It seems like things have been quite even to start out life here. Barnstorming offensive by this red side enough to get the door down. Meantime, trying to respond, but Summer Colorfest unable to get it past Jubu. Jubu finding a couple smart clears, and this could get dicey. Lucky Melon to having the Juno dash required to bat that away without any sort of flip expenditure. Here comes a flip up on the other side of the field, but it's unable to find the connection. Summer Colorfest not able to find it. And a bit of a panic by Melon Ninja is enough to allow Abercrombie to claim this first set on behalf of this. I keep forgetting their name. This is Low XP Bar. My bad for calling them the red team for this long. But yeah, there we go. Capitalizing on a bit of chaos is this low XP Bar team. And who is that? That's Juno. Juno, not Juno. Juno is rewarded with the pick of the litter here. Picks up the Explo, and we'll see how this blue side responds.
Yeah, I mean, awakenings are just overall good for the whole lobby here, I want to say. Estelle gets a dash awakening, which is never bad. Juno does manage to pick up a spark. And Amy, of course, with heavy impact, is going to be a lot of a kill menace who can just cheese the walls. Because on this map, you are required to go against the walls a lot, especially with the Nashor when you just want to keep it in the corner. So it's going to be an interesting sort of lens.
That is a lot of ability expenditure in the middle of the pitch. I believe Melon Ninja might damn well have blown their entire kit just to win that kickoff. I guess it pays some sort of dividends insofar as they are the first to claim a barrier. That could have been a crazy triple KO type situation. There was a lot of congestion there in the bottom of the map. But now positions have normalized just a smidge, and Abercrombie looking for a cheeky dash into Glitch Pop combo on the Summer Color Fest. But this Asher continues to hang on to their life and is even fighting back. Rips the the dash onto Jubu for no reason, honestly. But low-key, I'll give you the aura points for that. The flip forced out of Juno in the middle of the park for no gain. That is a good ROI, especially now that this power play has come to pretty much nothing. But right as the last power play dissipated, another one was created. Juno is really locked in on finding these kills onto Juno, who is Melon Ninja, playing as Juno. These names are very confusing. Now another flip flown in the middle of the park for no gain. Abercrombie now having to be a bit cognizant of his life. There is the stagger state. This Ivy is now running away as we tick into overtime. No team broken through just yet.
Yeah, I mean, there's two flips out on the board now, and one of them just flies out, but unfortunately gets no value as now immediately dies with it up.
Melon Ninja not able to find the right clears. Okay, that was pretty well worked. A good reaction, Juno secondary to get the save, but the pressure from Abercrombie and Co. is just a little too overbearing in that situation. Scyther once again completely ineffectual, just being taken off the map time and time again. It seems like an early win con is burgeoning for this low XP bar side. they just seem to be so clinical in establishing these power plays, and then once they get the man advantage, they seem pretty good for money in terms of getting the gates open. That said, they lose their gates in this particular instance. Summer Colorfish barnstorming there, laying down the law, laying down a lot of Asher cooldowns to get it through Jubu. Jubu walling, interestingly enough, for no real gain, and that is capitalized on brilliantly by Summer Colorfish, who surges forward, wins the strike war, and that is once again even scores here in set 2.
I mean, currently, Name Team has about 2 bursts coming up, and well, yeah, low XP bar doesn't, unless Estelle just came up right now, and she pops it immediately, forcing out the Juno burst as well.
Melon Ninja's looking a little dicey here. No dodge at the side there. Oh my god, I was like, looking like a deer in headlights there. I was really sweated. I feel like there were a million and one ways this now could have once again died off the edge. But they hang on to their life. They try to feed it through Portal, but it's not quite gonna work. Abercrombie looking very threatening here. The flip is blown, and that gets the second gate open. Neither defender of this blue side able to react in time to the flip. Abercrombie now looking a little hairy, is having to back off, but hangs on to their life, and all the while there's a bit of a counterattack beckoning. Summer Colorfest is looking real dead there, but the knockback from the raw Estelle secondary is not quite enough to seal the deal there, but that is an interesting redirect, but I guess it's actually high IQ 5P chess because they knock it up and around the Jubu to get the barrier, but speaking of things being knocked around defenders, that is a pretty smart piece of portal play by Juno to once again knock it past Melon Ninja and put the low XP bar team up again on this set.
Yeah, as you can see, it's quite obvious that the low XP bar's plan is to just kill the now if possible, and maybe even dash in the corners, as they have a lot of damage they can just easily stack up with the Amy and the Estelle. But it is an Asher, so she kind of wants to keep the core in the corner, so she's forced to either just die or win.
Melon Ninja missing the flip. That is going to be costly. Summer Colorfest trying to assuage the situation, but is also rubber banding like an MF. Is kind of teleporting. Teleporting is also Juno. Look at Estelle secondary, but nothing coming of it. Here comes Melon Ninja. Interesting rebound hijinks there on the top of the map, but eventually the slime does work through the portal. Gets it into a tricky offensive situation, but Juno once again holds. Not to mention holds on the flip, and that is another good snipe there by Juno, knocking it past Melon Ninja, who opts to read upwards in spite of the presence of their now. And there is another set taken a bit more convincingly this time around by the side of low XP bar. And once again, an all too familiar face at the front of the queue here. We'll see what Juno ends up taking.
Yeah, well, Juno is denied the hot shot by Juno, and leaving her with only scraps, honestly. Deadeye is a good pick on her, I wanna say, but it's definitely not as impactful as hot shot, as Amy actually manages to get more damage so she can step up even with more kills. With the now going Reptile Remedy just to try to remedy that just a bit. But Dubu picking up big performance leaves Asher only with Might, but it's not the worst pick because he does have Demolitionist, so maybe she can also start picking some kills around the corners.
Oh my god, and there is another snipe onto this poor Scyther now. Juno is, I feel like 90% of Juno's leveling has just come from killing now over and over and over again. Scyther just being sent to the shops time and time again, but you know, whatever, they're back on the board. What's a 13-second trip to the Sinbin? You'll be back. Here is this now to come affect the play, but misses the strike, feeding the offense right back into the hands of Juno, who looks to do it all themselves. Whenever Crombie's not in a position to really help with that offense, meaning that this blue side gets off scot-free. Here comes Summer Colorfest once again work through. A good strike war is enough to knock it through the portal and back into the path of Juno, who's not actually defending here, is instead positioning to set up some offense. Nothing comes of it. Both teams really desperate to think in portals here. It's just infinite ping pong back and forth through the portals. We'll see maybe if someone mixes it up with a different clear. Maybe let's attack the wrong side for once. Looks like teams are heeding my advice, but might be a reversion to the mean here in OT once the core speed gets crazy.
I mean, honestly, every single cooldown is just currently flying at Asher, trying to get him off the map, but he's like stubbornly holding on to his life, just refusing to die. And it finally seems that the team realized that killing Asher isn't as important as it is just scoring a goal.
Sure, why not? Ninja taking advantage of the OT core speed there was denied hot shot by Juno, but the point had went on for long enough to where that awakening denial was kind of rendered a non-issue. Jubu unable to react to the sheer speed at which that goal was launched. You know, maybe it's not the prettiest of goals, but it's a goal nonetheless. That is what this blue side needs, especially when they're being reduced to 2 men so frequently. This time, Scyther isn't the unfortunate recipient of a primary to the face. It's actually Summer Colorfest, who loses a series of key interactions there, and therefore results in the second barrier falling once again. The portal play is really the win con here for this red side. Ninja once again caught on the misposition through the portal. The Juno dash not quite enough to defend there, and this low HP bar team is now 2 points away from taking this first game.
Yeah, I mean, again, Nim team does have a burst coming up, so I'm speaking of it flies out right immediately and it gets punished frame 1. And unfortunately, it looks like Amy is quite low, so she might actually be able to die for the first time in a while, but Asher is just not really prioritizing it.
Ooh, I like that flip a lot out of Ninja. That is enough to get it out of dodge. Juno is doing some interesting things in the portal there. He's just waiting like a shark smelling blood in the water. Now looking to unleash some kit onto Summer Colorfest, as is ever Grogby, taking nothing away from his timing, looking for a cheeky glitch pop combo, and does actually get the kill off the dash and calls out the cross clear from Ninja, but Ninja kind of just rolls their face over the keyboard and then uses enough cooldowns to stall out the Abercrombie flip. But that means they are left a little defenseless to deal with the offense on the second time of asking. This blue side is now once again down both barriers, and things could get chaotic here. Overtime core speed is not actually capitalized on Summer Colorfest, instead of scoring with a simple redirect that just about squeezes it past Jubu. And I believe maybe for the first time this game, this blue side actually has the set, or the advantage, the lead in a set.
I mean, as you can see once again, the Asher is just getting damaged on frame 1, and like absolutely no break in between. It really seems like low XP bar, the whole plan is to just kill someone and then maybe shove it in past the Juno, who keeps like doing this valiant jumps in and then the offense living through nothing for defense.
A little bit of a misplaced ultimate is definitely a lot of reprieve for Jubu, who's able to find a clear down and around it. Ninja doing their darndest to defend. They hold immaculately, but it just seems like Jubu is such an insurmountable wall that this blue team is just incapable of scaling. Neem Tame is gonna have to step it up if they want to get through. They do get through at the cost of Summer Colorfest's life, but it's all good. This power play shouldn't be too threatening. Ninja not opting to flip, though, could prove to be a costly decision. He does hold the energy for this situation and doesn't use it once again. Now Scyther is being called onto the defensive amidst a surge forward by this Juno. Is not able to get it through Jubu. Jubu just throwing down the wall once again and negating any sort of offense Summer Colorfest might want to set up. Wow, there we go. Great usage of the dash to stun Jubu, render this Jubu incapable of flipping, and that is just what the doctor ordered for this Neem Tame side. They finally get a set, and we'll see if they can mount a comeback here.
Yeah, finally, low XP bar manages to lose a set and leaving Juno first pick, where she does have a spark, so she could pick up another spark here decisively, maybe even deciding the game with it, but she opts for Alias instead, which I can't really blame her because still with Alias is not something fun to play against. But Jubu here opts for stacks on stacks, which is never a bad thing because speed on Jubu, on Dubu, sorry, just lets him walk up more. So I don't think it's ever a bad thing. And as it looks like the whole lobby here just opts for speed instead of the Asher, who wants fire up for maybe a bit more evade, which I can't really blame him because he is just dying a lot of the times to the enemy clutter.
Ninja losing first barrier, and it goes from bad to worse. They lose the second one. I need to press down. How many dash strikes does this Juno have? That's really just one and eject button. They just flew across the whole map. I had to do a double take there. But okay, yeah, the aerials pickup definitely creating a bit of havoc there. Oh, speaking of havoc, that is another kill onto Scyther there. This time it comes courtesy of a Jubu wall, which once again creates a power play, which Melon Ninja and the gang are incapable of dealing with. And after a bit of missteps, a bit of a speed bump, this red side's looking to land a plane here. They are now once again within touching distance of taking the game.
I mean, once again, the Corp is always going through the Fortress. He has absolutely no breaks. And as the Corp stays close to the wall, it's really obvious that everyone's just gonna die. And the Juno, once again, manages to catch the Corp with one of her Valiant jumps that goes across the map. And pressure is piling up, but not quite enough to get the barrier.
Good breakthrough found by this red side. They're not able to work it through though. No, and they're counting their blessings that goal gate didn't open just a smidgen quicker. And once again, an all too familiar situation. This time though, Juno is unable to find the right primary to knock that thing through, but gets a second chance here. And once again, Melon Ninja hits a bit of clutch abilities to keep that thing out. Scyther now getting a little risky here up on the edge of the map. Melon Ninja feeding it right back into the path of Juno, but Juno unable to find some smart strikes down and around this defense. Here comes the offense up on the other side of the pitch. Summer Colorfest just about gets it past Jubu with the ultimate and now robs Jubu of his flip. To say nothing of that primary out of Scyther. A really good sequence by all three members of this meme-tamed side, and they are not down for the count just yet. They are now 2 goals off taking this second set.
And once again, you can see that they're really feeding for the Nawa kills, and they really want to get her out of the play. Even though she can kill herself, she's not really sustaining herself as much as I thought she would be. She's just always slow and dying, and the portal plays are just never stopping.
Juno looked for a kill with the Crystal Thorns, interestingly enough, but the knockback wasn't quite enough to get Scyther off the map, but that is an unfortunate sequence of events there. I guess the ultimate, Summer Colorfest using the ultimate backwards to try to apply some stun or some chip onto Juno, but it all goes awry. A bit of overzeal on the defense means that once again, this red side, what is there? They are low XP bar. Pardon me, I have not slept, so you know, the mental faculty is just a smidge slow today. But anyways, yeah, this low XP bar side, just 1 point away from the breakthrough now. That said, here comes Melon Ninja to try to right that wrong. That is an insane offensive value that this Juno's getting out of a really unorthodox build, but you know, it gets it done. Summer Colorfest unable to find the breakthrough just yet, but they're keeping the core right where they want it on this right side of the pitch. But a flip from Tempo out of Juno should look to change things. They do end up getting a barrier out of that flip, but that is really a non-issue because the ball funnels right back into Summer Colorfest, who has proven to be quite adept at these strike wars up against Jubu. That is a good sign for this blue side. They are now 1 point off, taking set 2, or their set 2.
Yeah, they're really trying to make a comeback. And as I say that, unfortunately, Asher falls to the stealth primary, leaving Scyther to try to do miracle work. But unfortunately, it looks like they can't exactly hold on to the core as well as they would have hoped so.
I want to point out that I think Juno really understands the assignment. There will be times where he just stands in front of the portal and waits for Scyther to just tap it through kind of instinctively, and then immediately sends it right back through. All the while I'm breaking down that analysis, neither defender with flip on this blue side opts to blow it, which means that the ball trickles in. Evercrombie and the Jews are able to pick up a win here, which is oh so crucial. I mean, that's literally 50% of the points you can accumulate today. That goes in favor of low XP bar. That is a great start. They get off on the right foot, but it must be said a really good fight was put up by Neem Tame. They're not quite down and out for the count, but that does mean their next game is an absolute must win. And yeah, hats off to this red side, the Jews and Evercrombie getting it done, and still plenty to play for. Do you have any thoughts on how that game played out, Saul?
I feel really sorry for Saito. Poor guy was just trying to TP into the portals and he just kept dying and getting assaulted every 2 seconds. Unfortunately, they just didn't really have as much portal coverage as I think they would have hoped for. As whenever Saito passed it to the portal, the Asher just wasn't really entirely ready to catch it. And even when he did, there's a Jubu standing right in front of him. Like he's not gonna get that through him.
Definitely seemed like one team was a little more, it was thinking a little more in terms of those portals, and it paid dividends for them. That said, yeah, luckily the fact that there's only like there's 3 teams total means that we will throw to a quick break, but that break is going to be like lightning quick, just given how quickly things are going to get organized today. But yeah, don't go anywhere. We'll be back with some more Clarion Corp Trials action right after this. Okay, welcome back, everyone. Getting right back at it with some at-lab action. We see one familiar face. Hot off their defeat, they just went and rips the queue instantaneously. Once again, on this blue side, we're seeing the side of Neem Tame, and their opponents this time around are going to be, at last, the People's Team Bald Pregnant Men. They're looking to give birth to their first victory here. We'll see what they end up picking. Maybe Scyther will finally be allowed to play his Jakar. But I don't know. What I'd really want to see is, bro, I really want General Umbre to just like put the fries in the bag, lock the Zentaro goalie. I know it's in there. I know it's in there. I really want to see it come out because he was hovering it last week and then like he just decided to play Kai instead, which is really boring. And you can do that in any EUS game. Why not take advantage of the CCT to bust out those crazy picks? Okay, we're seeing Atlas come out of I guess that's Mel Ninja. Everyone's name off for me, but I'm gonna assume that's Mel Ninja. And yeah, interesting. Well, I'll be interested to see how the rest of these picks shake up.
Yeah, that is an Atlas goalie on Melon Ninja right now, and I would love to see the Zentaro goalie as a Zentaro player, honestly. But I feel like we're not gonna see it today, unfortunately, as much as I wish for it. But we can see that the Rasmus and the Amy are flying out, which on Atlas Tab are really powerful picks. And we do see a Zentaro.
I think because the Umbre's Kai has been taken by Scyther. There it is. There it is. Eject button Zentaro. Okay, yeah. You know, at this point, father my children, bald pregnant men, you have my heart. Here comes the Zentaro goalie. We'll see what happens here. I've only ever seen this Zentaro goalie. Oh, crazy lag. I've only ever seen this Zentaro goalie busted out in EU kindergarten, and he just spammed dash trainings. So he like could go the whole field. So I don't know what's in store, quite frankly. But really, Scyther, Scyther, that's his name, yeah, Scyther, you brought this upon yourself by denying the Kai here. So you better, if you can't handle the heat, get out of the kitchen. I guess we'll see how things shake up. Both goalies sitting on 1 goal apiece here, as we're about halfway through regulation.
Unfortunately, as big as it is, Zentaro goalie isn't exactly the most strong option ever. And against Nashor, he's really gonna struggle and his managed to get the core out. But unfortunately, Summer Color Fest gets PTSD from the Amy dying again.
Interesting tactical standstill from Wolfsart there. Just kind of, I guess, was waiting to receive the ball. Does mean the power play dissipates. No barrier taken. Oh, here comes the cavalry. Zentaro spamming cooldowns in the middle of the park is enough to get it through. Wolfsart now looking to dribble it up against top lane to retain possession, but the core speed's a little too nutty for that particular endeavor to bear fruit. That is interesting. Sure, why not? Interesting stall coming out of the Zentaro. He's on the prowl, charging forward, but the flip is ripped and missed, meaning there's only one more flip on the board for Sloan, who does milk the flip out of Atlas at a bare minimum. Mel and Ninja now going to really have a tricky time defending up to this Rasmus, but I guess not if this primary's not going to connect for stun. And still, neither team able to find the breakthrough here.
Yeah, really just a stencil as the core goes back and forth and back and forth. Rasmus seems really adamant to keep his burst and not wanting to use it for the barrier, but it seems like Melonija doesn't want to give up the barrier just that easily.
Yeah, evidently. This Atlas is holding on for dear life. I guess Ninja has accepted that, okay, maybe my team's offense is not the most potent, but I'm just going to lock the most boring free goalie on earth and just defend and find amazing opportunities to score. There's another such opportunity which is not quite able to work its way through. Here comes the Zentaro dash. Good strike forward out of Umbre, sorry, wrong person, wrong player. Oh wow, okay, there we go. All this hype around Ninja does get called out by the good glitch pop out of Wolfsart. And after 15 quintillion years, a goal finally goes in. Good resistance, good attrition, good sticking with it from both teams, but especially this red side to finally put one in the net.
Yeah, unfortunately, it seems like Zentaro gets caught up by a combination of oh my god, I guess the Atlas primary and whatever else was thrown at him, and Asher just manages to find the momentum and get the goal, because Sloan really seems adamant on keeping his burst for next game.
That was definitely a change of pace, to say the least. That was like a goal within 10 seconds. Okay, the black hole wreaking havoc, and like a shark smelling blood in the water, Umbre surged forward and tried to get some chip onto Summer Colored Fest. Craze? I don't know. color crazes and then I play. Sorry. But okay, all the while, Atlas absolutely robbed of his kit. It doesn't even keep the barrier for his troubles. That is a rough day at the office. Melon Ninja having to hold the mental here. Opts to not grab the orb, is choosing to build up to flip the good old-fashioned way by just hitting the core over and over again. Didn't actually get placed into a situation where they would have needed flip, still not hitting it though. All the while, the inadvertently a bit of a layering situation created by the dribbles from Scyther, and now the pressure has really been invited into this blue team's home. But the bald pregnant men, once again, just unable to get it through the patient defending of Melon Ninja. Speaking of patience, there's some impatience out of Umbre, surges forward with that nutty Zentaro dash, almost gets that out of dodge, but then own goals, so I guess everything needs to find its equilibrium. You do one good thing and then you own goal. Unfortunate, but it does mean that the side of Meme Tame is up here in the set.
And unfortunately, when the birds do fly with, they end up hitting nothing. And right now it's looking really enough for Zentaro, who misses his secondary just barely, but it doesn't mean that he's out of the fight quite yet, because he does have his burst and another barrier, and Asher seems to try to make a miracle play, but unfortunately it doesn't quite turn the way he should.
Good pass found by Umbre to feed it through the Wolfsark. Yeah, Wolfsark choosing to run into Portal and hurt their own Rasmus. Interesting sequence there. Oh, as is the backwards secondary there, but it's no trouble. Rasmus once again finding all the requisite kit to put Melon Ninja into his tricky situation there, but the Atlas having just enough kit to get it through, but now actually micro spaces around the primary extremely well. Didn't even have to burn and evade. Great presence of mind by Melon Ninja and great economization of the resources. There is a necessary resource expenditure. Good flip out of Umbre to maintain the barrier. The other flips were a little suspect. And as we head into overtime, now everyone's a little bereft of energy.
Yeah, the core is flying again. And Asher unfortunately seems to be low. PTSD kicking in once again as he's almost close to dying, but the secondary is on the Rasmus just to go say hi for a second, and unfortunately the Zentaro ultimate does catch him off guard. Nice.
Yeah, very interesting power play. A lot of rubber banding going on my end. Here comes Umbre. I guess he just shrugs his shoulders and says, fine, I'll do it myself. Breaks the door down. Good primary out of Melon Ninja to abuse the core speed and get that ball right back to where this blue side wants it. Meme Tame unable to maintain any sort of offense. That is a good read from Wolfsark, but it's not enough to get it through. Melon Ninja is playing so patiently. Scyther getting in the mixer. I was about to say struggling to really get into the play in this particular point, but then he just does that. He just pulls that out of his rear end, and that is a first set take by the side of Meme Tame, and Melon Ninja richly rewarded with the first pick, and that is Hotshot, I see. We'll see if they pick it up.
Yeah, that was just a beautiful ultimate from Kai, just sending the core right through and right past Umbre. And the Hotshot pick, of course, he gets immediately taken from Atlas. I would say is one of his best awakenings. And the Zentaro here may choose to wait a second, waiting for his Amy. And again, a heavy impact is gonna give Summer Colorfest even more trauma, because that just makes her even more of a killing presence. And again, he does decide to go fire up just for the extra energy, and for the extra evade maybe. And Rasmus actually goes Stinger, which is an interesting choice, I want to say, from him.
You know, I feel like this bald pregnant men team is just, they are the innovators. I'll label them as such. They are playing Zentaro goalie, they're locking Stinger on Rasmus. You know, they called Nikola Tesla insane. The Catholic Church excommunicated Galileo, and yet these people are vindicated hundreds of years later. So maybe this side will be vindicated for their experimentation here, but that is an experiment not worth undertaking here. Hitting it into your own barrier is not very good, I must say. But you know, it's okay. The power play is over, which makes things a little better, but Summer Colorfest is looking to work the offense, but it just gets knocked away from them. And that is both barriers down for this Meme Tame side. Summer Colorfest coming back, flipping in the middle of the park, just trying to establish some sort of offensive tempo. Pinball wizardry in the D end there. But this Asher's button mashing is enough to get it past Umbre's Zentaro. The ult not coming up trumps there, and that is another goal on the board for Meme Tame.
Yeah, unfortunately, Zentaro's kit is just not really all that that stable as Ombre would have hoped for that save. And as you can see, Nim team has 2 bursts coming up. Well, Pregnant Man actually have 3 soon, and as the damage just keeps piling on Nim team. The Atlas ultimate flies out, not too much avail. Actually, as I'm speaking, it gets so much value. That's the best Atlas ultimate I've seen in my entire life, maybe.
I would have to concur. You know, I always calm with my teammates. This is a secret tech. When I throw my ult out, I just tell my teammates to kill themselves, and it works because you can get incredible value, as demonstrated by this Kai healing up to full, keeping the energy, and is now sitting on Flip. Scyther will be looking to use that to good effect. Is a little hesitant to use it just now. Rightfully so. In the middle of the park, I don't know much how value you're going to get up against a quality goalie like Umbre. All the while, the Liv once again forced out a Melon Ninja, but a great reaction on all counts. What the hell? Like, okay, sure. I guess that secondary connects. Why not? This Atlas is really having a day. Then misses the strike shot. You win some, you win some, you lose some, because you also down cleared it to Ivy Dash. But, you know, take nothing away from the earlier sequence by Melon Ninja. Bit of a tricky situation developed near the rear end of the point. It does mean now that it is 1 apiece here in set 2.
Yeah, unfortunately, team name or whatever, how you say the name, have no burst and no energy coming up, meaning that Pregnant Men can just go ahead and impregnate them however they wish with the kills. And as it looks like, Amy does actually try to get the kill on the Ashes, but he's just a bit short, and that sort of even flies out just out of panic.
Portal could be a bit tricky here. Summer Color Craze, if Summer Color Craze walks into the portal, they're dead. Okay, there we go. Disaster averted. Is just about able to footsie around that big black ball of doom. In any case, here is a lot of buttons, to say the least. A lot of mashing happening there in top plane. The ball wriggles clear down to bottom. The flip forced out of Umbre. This Centauro not sitting so pretty. No dodge, no nothing. Gets it clear though. Okay, Beast, why not? The play continues. We persist. Good primary out of Melon Ninjas enough to keep the offense up on this right side of the pitch, but a good hook for tempo out of Sloan. Really reverses the tempo there. That is a ballsy clear from, what's his face? From Umbre, sorry. Hitting it right, I guess just relying on Summer Color Craze's lag to make them incapable of catching that up clear. Beast stuff does get punished inadvertently in the long run for it, but interesting sequence there. Now, this Bald Pregnant Men team is once again in the disadvantage here.
Yeah, unfortunately, the Amy burst just goes on doing absolutely nothing, but actually does something because he gets in the mind of the opponents, and Rasmus is just able to walk up and mind control everyone and just strike it in unpunished.
That is classic Bald Pregnant Men ball right there. That is what they're known for, their eccentricity, their crazy plays, their mind controls. They have this in spades. That said, they're on a bit of the back foot here. They worked that thing clear in spite of the massive ulti thrown down by this Asher. Interesting secural of the top barrier there, but it almost has collateral damage from that Rasmus secondary. This red side will not be complaining. Scales even here. 1 barrier apiece for both sides on the diagonal. We could be in the running for a long point, but this Rasmus just gives me the finger. He tells me to stick it where the sun don't shine. He gets it done. Sloan definitely waking up these past couple points. Great individual play by this Rasmus. Gets it done, gets the MVP, and it'll be interesting to see what they opt for here.
Yeah, Sloan, he went from keeping his burst for 2 games to just doing such insane plays and scoring basically by himself, and now he gets first pick and he can get whatever his heart desires, and he does end up going for a peak performance, which is a very good awakening, seeing how he had outside Zephyr Remedies. That's gonna be even more speed. Atlas does opt for Omega Infuse Accelerator here, which I want to say it's a good awakening as long as you're not dying, and to be honest, it's an Atlas in his goal zone, he's just not dying ever. An interesting pickup over here from Scyther. He does set to go stacks on stacks, which, I mean, I guess it does have survivability, but against an Amy, that's not really gonna matter because she's just gonna push up the map like completely for fun.
More importantly than any of that nonsense is that this just in. General Umbre has collected the first Infinity Stone. He has his first Dash Awakening put into the gauntlet here. This Centaur will now be capable of surging across the entire map like a speeding Bronco. Can't wait for that to happen. In the meantime, he's being forced to play a bit more principled defense. Just fine. There it is! But it's not quite up to snuff there. Good reactive secondary out of Melon Ninja assuages the situation. But that is a mere sampling of what is to come out of the Centaur volley. All the while, both teams struggling for possession here as we take towards overtime.
Yeah, you know, you are right. I didn't even notice the Zentaro taking the sneaky aerials over there. I didn't even look at it. I just thought it was such a bad pick. But of course, I forget that it's General Umbre on Zentaro goalie. So he's gonna make miracles happen with this thing. Look at him already. He wants to go. He wants to play, and he manages to get the kill on Dasher, putting him with 2 bursts in a power play.
This is cinema. Oh, that's not so cinema though. But okay, brilliant dash once again from Umbre is enough to retain the possession, but Summer Color Fest comes back right in the nick of time to throw down an ult and deny the space. Wolves are trying their best to help the offense. Ended up being stuck behind Umbre, who played okay. Why not? Sure, why not? Like that was a flip. That was a secondary. And Summer Color Fest just stared it right in the eye, waited, and tapped that thing in. Hits the Sony Trophy emote like a boss. And yeah, I guess that is the downside of Zentaro goalie. Hijinks like that do tend to ensue. You know, it's okay. They'll just have to score 3 more goals.
Yeah, the burst flies out in the very nick of time over on Melon Ninja, and he just manages to save it as Asher pushes it through. And it really looks like Sloan decided to go take a nap because he once again goes to use his burst. And as I'm saying it, he decides to tell me that I can go shove it, and he just uses it frame 1.
Chaos unfolding here. Once again, a bit of a wayward dash ensures that Umbre loses that second barrier. Hits the evade preemptively, really good presence of mind to weave around this Asher primary, but the ball is returned to sender. Chaos in the D arc. All 3 red team defenders were unable to flare their abilities such that that play could be defended. And it does seem as if this meme team side have reached another level of their play. They've definitely locked in. Okay, whatever. They'll lock in after that sequence, surely. Yeah, there we go. They did get a flip out of Wolf side, so I guess it's not all for naught.
Yeah, unfortunately, that has been picking the barriers to fall. And Scyther is once again 1 HP. With an Amy on the field, that's frightening. But the Athens Ultimate does come out preemptively just to kill him for a second. And it looks like they really just can't push it through to get this last barrier from Umbre, because obviously he just goes and nothing can ever phase him.
Interesting dribble attempt there from Summer Color Fest. Not close enough to themselves to retain possession. That is 1 button gone from Atlas. Another one used to good effect though. Let's see what happens here. The out clear is found, but Umbre is on that like a fly to a poop turd. Dashes from Timbuktu to put that right back into the face of this Melon Ninja Atlas. Here comes the core speed. Melon Ninja holding their nerve, but blowing it on the second time of asking. There goes the flip. Is able to footsie around the Rasmus primary there, so holds on to their net. Oh, but that is a great hook. That is low-key some the Joker type Schmidt, I must say. Great play by Sloan there to get the goal at long last.
Yeah, a beautiful hook from Sloan after 2 very questionable bursts, I want to say, from Nim Tame. But they're gonna try to bring it right back, as unfortunately the core just happened to slide past them, and Umbre coming over as the third forward, just getting so much value out of his aerials and just getting down the barrier for them.
There are a lot of flips on this red side, some are saying. We'll see how long it is until one trips. There it is. Oh, but here comes Umbre. Umbre choosing not to flip it, and I guess he has white hair because he's old and wise, because he knew that the ball would just like go in. He knew that the Atlas just wouldn't strike. It does mean that this Centaur is the beneficiary of a flip heading into point. To say nothing of Wolfside, who's also sitting real pretty in the energy economy. So this could be looking like a dicey point for the side of Meme Tame if they're unable to hold here.
Umbre once again getting just so much value out of just being on the field. Like he truly is, I want to say, the backbone of the pregnant man. Like he's probably the pregnator, I wanna say. As he just saved the core with a beautiful secondary right there, pushing the core straight back to Wolfstar, manages to get the burst, but unfortunately, no, I mean unfortunately, Sloan is just there, he just knows, and he gets the play, and Zentaro also gets a kill, leaving Mellow Ninja against the burst.
Ooh, but that attempt at penetration there, snubbed out by some good birth control from this Atlas goalie. Now we'll see what happens here. The Liv thrown out strategic flashbang? Sure, why not? It works. The pass is not cut, though. Still, this team gets off scot-free. Mean Tame really counting their lucky stars there. Oh no, the panic means that one flip that could have been really valuable on the O-line is blown for peanuts on the D-line. But this won't stop Kai unleashing the Giga Blast. Not enough to get it through. Crazy portal hijinks happening in the middle of the park. Great patience by Melon Ninja to not hit it right as the Rasmus primary. Oh, but great patience by Wolfsard to read the primary out of this Atlas and react in time. This Atlas, Loki has nothing, at least for 5 seconds, but it doesn't look like that's going to be an issue. The strike shot gets it done. Great difference splitting pass there found by Melon Ninja. Neither team breaking through just yet.
Unfortunately, Wolfstar uses his burst as almost slow in a second, leaving Ombre with absolutely nothing up in his goal to defend except just a lone secondary that he tries to push off. But unfortunately, it looks like Nim Tame just told the pregnant man to just go get an abortion.
Aborted they were, and the eject button not quite quick enough to reverse that bedroom mishap. And now this Atlas is getting rapid fire, guys. This Atlas is getting rapid fire. Well, actually it's CCT, so maybe this Atlas isn't getting rapid fire. Bang! Okay, there we go. Umbre not getting the denied. Chrono Boost denied from Umbre by his own teammate. Are we seeing this? What is this woke nonsense? Let my Centauro fly, bro. You don't need that. But okay, yeah, you could comment on the rest of this draft.
Unfortunately, it looks like Ombre does manage to become another Spark, which I want to say is weaker than the other Dash Awakening. I think that would have been the game winner, unfortunately. But they do decide to just take the Spark instead. As the game starts off fast and hard, as unfortunately the pregnant man just decided to shove it in.
What is the Liv gonna do there? Was that, like, the Liv's not gonna, whatever, it's okay, everyone got a little antsy there. It's fine. At that point, we can just put that in the rubbish bin and move forwards. Here comes the cavalry. Kickoff one uncontested by this Kai midfielder. Scyther trying to get in the mixer now. Cuts the out clear brilliantly, but still the ball is funneled into Sloan. Sloan unable to do anything all by his lonesome. No, Wolves are a little bit too far back to do much of anything to assist this Rasmus Brawler. Strikes being missed left and right. The ball persists here in this J corner for a little longer. Wolves are trying to force the issue with the flip, and nothing is coming of it. There goes my Asher, the Liv just a little slow to come out from this Atlas goalie. Melon Ninja doing a good job to hold on to their barrier with a little bit of a helping hand out of sight there. All three members of Mean Tame back on the map. Pregnant man holding well. The great dash out of Umbre is enough to stop the play from getting hairy. Two flips beckoning for this Mean Tame side. Should they be able to use them on the offense, that could prove quite potent. But once again, Sight there a little trigger happy using the flip on the defense. And now there's just an Atlas setting the flip.
It really seems like Scyther and Mellow Ninja are making miracles, keeping both of their barriers until overtime hits and only then losing it. And as this Amy is low, maybe the Summer Coolface is gonna try to search for a kill, but unfortunately he doesn't seem to find it as he opts to use his cooldowns on the coin instead. As Sloan once again has burst, and he's probably looking to make some cheeky play against the Atlas once again.
This Atlas has been holding on the flip for 15 quintillion years, but finally uses it. The primary is not enough to get it through, and now it is an open net for Mean Tame, but just as quickly as they open the opposition net, their own block gets picked. Wolfsard is looking real scary though, is being very patient, and that is an excellent angle to feed it into the Rasmus. The situational awareness was impeccable out of this IME midfielder, as it was at the Rasmus as well. Sloan getting the stun onto an Atlas who was incapable of dodging. Well worked sequence by the bald pregnant man, and they are now 1 point away from taking the set.
Yeah, unfortunately, it looks like Scyther can keep doing his miracles as no players fall, except for Ombre, who flies a bit too close to the sun in his glory and manages to somehow die on the edge right there, leaving the team name in a power play, but Scyther unfortunately misses the back pass.
Little bit of a lull here. Neither team really eager to play the core in a jiffy. That is once again such a good clear out of Melon Ninja. Maybe a bit of an iffier sequence from his goalie counterpart up on the other side of the field. And now Summer Killerfest finally stopping the bleeding, getting a goal back on the board for this blue side. They are now 2 points away from taking things. But that said, the Bald Pregnant Men just need to get lucky one more time. So even the scales here force a set 5. This Team Tame side with everything on the line is not going to be antsy to let that happen, though it may be a little difficult for them here now that they're once again in a power play, but it looks like this one will be coming to nothing.
Yeah, unfortunately, even if Atlas is caught off guard with his pants down and fucked by the pregnant man, it seems without ultimate, it seems that the power play doesn't really do a lot. As now, Wolfzard is actually on the chopping board, ready to die, but it just doesn't seem like the name team can get the kill. And as I say that, of course, I get to fuck myself. And the live beautifully saved it, and the actual ultimate does miracles.
What the hell did I just witness? Luckily Sloan, cooler heads appear to be prevailing. Flip! Dude, what are we doing?
Bro! For 2 days!
That's inexcusable. Like, usually you have to, I'll let you in on a lesson I learned at caster school. It's never a bad play. It's always a good play by the enemy. Nobody ever makes a bad play, but I'm sorry, that was unequivocally a bad play. There's no spin I can put on. Why are we not? It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Okay, here we go. We're back into action here. There's now match point for this blue side. That's a new team kind of creating their own problems here. Hitting into the Ivy-Old Wolves are thanking the gods that offense was set up on their behalf. There's a wayward flip out of Sloan. Is now looking kind of primed to die, but neither of the blue side forwards eager to kill him. Wolves are now left all by their lonesome here to try to work some offense in the corner.
Unfortunately, it's like he doesn't die into the high gigabest. They just want to keep it in the corner there as Sloan manages to somehow do miracles and mind control and just get the core fast again. But the Wolves does have burst, maybe he can make something happen with it. Because Sloan clearly wants with his burst.
Okay, here comes Melon Ninja. Really tentative, pokey, proddy gameplay from both sides here. A lot of conservatism happening here. Why not reverse Sad Boys off of this entire ultimate? Why not? This is just the match for that kind of height. It's crazy live into crazy circle, into crazy primary, into crazy outlet, into crazy flip. Sure, that is an interesting sequence, but it gets the job done. Perhaps not the most economical sequence there, but it don't matter because once again, this Neem Tape side is alive, but wow, they are really straddling the precipice of death so tentatively here, but it's okay. Number Colored Craze trying to get on the end of this core, but they can't. And there's a good redirect by Sloan. He was just biding his time. He was just making things interesting. He knew that he'd win the next point, so he let that thing roll in and is now richly rewarded for his sage decision-making with the pick of the litter here.
Yeah, a beautiful hook from Sloan. It seems that he traded all of his burst usage for the hooks because, man, they just always seem to work. And as we're going to that here, Sloan is once again first pick. He picks up the bulk up, and now he has the Stagger X Soda. Every single Stagger everything that's currently in the game. Kai does manage to get a very powerful missile propulsion pick, denying the Amy at the same time, and the team player Manatas is never bad. As it seems like Zentaro here actually opts for the glass cannon instead of another dash awakening. Ombre might have misclicked. I'm gonna say that he did because there's no way that he would have ever passed another one of those.
Here we go. The Neem Tame with their lives on the line. They have to land the plane here or they can kiss the finale bye-bye. And wow, that is not a particularly auspicious start for this blue side. Ombres Sally forth was not quite enough to seal the deal here. Another good sequence by Sloan is enough to get it through. Neither defender of Neem Tame opting to dodge, and as a consequence, they lose their barrier and they lose the point. That is a great strike up and around the Atlas secondary by Sloan, and the Pregnant Men are so close now.
Unfortunately, Data's ultimate, sorry, secondary just so happens to miss very narrowly. I see the selection almost saved it miraculously, but it just doesn't happen. As Hombre is going in, he doesn't want to wait anymore. He's done waiting, he's not playing goalie. But clearly, he's not that done playing goalie because he immediately wants to go back to the goal.
That was okay. A lot of old value. I'll leave it at that. That was a lot of old value inexplicably, but you know, sure, why not? That's unfortunate. Oh, but the Atlas secondary doing a bit of residual defending long after it was laid down is enough to rob Wolfsart of a flip. Now there's no flips to be found, barely any dodge to be found on the side of the Pregnant Men. Umbre making sure no dodge will be required, instead opting to surge forward there with the secondary and get the ball out of dodge. Rapid fire, good reactive secondary from Melon Ninja to evade the disastrous goal that would have came from this Rasmus. Otherwise, ball is loose, ball is free, but Wolfsart unable to convert. OT core speed could complicate things. There's also a flip in favor of Sloan. That sent Melon Ninja also sitting pretty with one of their own, and that is not good. That's okay, though. That is exceedingly okay. We get the ball out of dodge. Why not? But no goal just yet.
Sloan is clearly fishing with something with his burst in front of the goal. I see finally opts to use it in front of the goal and score with it. He does a beautiful play with the secondary into burst and just slides it right past Melon Ninja, who clearly wasn't expecting it.
The bald Pregnant Men, they can feel the baby kicking. It is about to come out. They just need to get one more point. It's looking like their game to lose after such a strong start from this Neem Tame side. It seems to all be crumbling down, but they do buy a temporary, ephemeral bit of a reprieve here. They fold that into some good offense, but that is not what the doctor ordered. Two flips blown, neither connecting with the core. There goes my Kai. Granted, my Imy's also low-key a little low. Here comes Umbre trying to get in the mixer, but was not needed. Sloan laying down the pain, and that does unfortunately mean that this Neem Tame CCT journey is over. And wait, so the next match is just a formality, I'm pretty sure. Like, both of the... I mean, like, maybe they're competing for seeding. But anyways, the Bald Pregnant One won't be complaining. They're slapping their big round bellies with joy. They get it done, and they book a ticket in finale. Fair play to them, especially Sloan, who DBWM the hell out of this game. 10 goals, sure, why not?
Yeah, that was just a beautiful performance from the Bald Pregnant Men. And I want to say that after that match, I think they're the Bald Proud Fathers. I think that the baby is out. That they just have nothing more to do than just go on to the final selection and win it.
Wow, okay, yeah, we will throw to a quick break. I guess, yeah, for both teams involved in our next match, it's just a bit of a victory lap. They're both here. They've both made it. So maybe not the most stakes, but stay tuned, because any game where the Bald Pregnant Men are involved is sure to be a banger, evidently, so don't go anywhere. Okay, welcome back, one and all. Bit as we foretold, bit of a victory lap for both of these two teams involved. We've got two teams that are 1-0 currently, and that was enough to get it over the line in a 3-horse race. Evidently, we've got the bald pregnant men once more on this right side, on this red side, and contesting them are our friends from game one, low XP bar. So both teams squaring off on night market here. We'll see. Maybe there's room for some eccentricity here, given the circumstances, or maybe they just lock in. I assume there's some seeding to play for. I don't know how important that is, but yeah, we'll see how these two teams choose to field.
Yeah, I'm really curious to see how this match plays out because I want to see that these two are definitely my personal favorite teams from the whole event. So I'm really curious to see how they're gonna play against each other. And unfortunately, it does look like the Zentaro ban flies out because low XP bar is just frightened of the Zentaro goalie, and honestly, I would be as well.
Absolutely soiling their pants as we speak. Evercrombie deliberating between two very different characters there. Choosing, I don't know who they're going to choose to lock. Seems like it's going to be the Now. There's an interesting comp. This is like very 2023 pilled. Are we seeing this? The double brawler night market? Demons Raw? Is that, wait, who the hell is the goalie here? Jammy, is that you? Like, who is the, I want to, okay, I don't, like, low-key any three of these could be the goalie. And it's Juliet Strike Shot goalie. Why the hell not? Sure. Chills. Okay. Show us what you got. Show us what you got, Ombre. Why not?
I want to see absolute cinema when the team comes over here. We have not only Juliet goalie, but we also have Atlas forward flying and immediately getting a kill. Clearly, it's meta, like nobody can tell me otherwise.
I don't know how many people keep up with the North American equivalent of this competition, but there is a known goalie at Atomic Dino. I swear to God, this guy would be pro league if he just chose to play another character, but he does some crazy things on Goliath, so we'll see if Ombre can live up to my goat Atomic Dino. Has been holding quite well to begin with, as is Chubu on a bit more of a traditional pick, I must say. But both getting it done here in point one. Here comes the ultimate of Octavia. It was actually just enough to create the requisite chaos to take the barrier and create the opportunity for the core to be worked through. And that is a point on the board for Pregnant Men.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't think the Atlas Ultimate is going to do a lot for them over there in terms of defense, but it's clear that we have the superior strike shot user now, and that's Juliet, guys. Like, I feel like everyone knows that such. As the dash punch just goes out and immediately denies the Atlas everything that he could ever hope and want, as they just dribble along themselves. And clearly it's working because the Atlas is first, those fly out and gets no value. But unfortunately the core just happens to slip past General Ombre, and also just a kill just flies on Octavia.
Well, Pregnant Men definitely up against the wall here. Ombre finding a smart out clear, and I guess Crombie didn't have his secondary. To me, that looked like a free goal, but yeah, I guess not. Here, great patience out of Octavia there. Wolfsart showing why they ended up getting it done last game. Flips being traded like Pokemon cards there in the top side J corner, left side of the pitch. Now, only flip remaining is on this Ombre Julie. We'll see if they choose to use it on the offense or the defense. This Julie not quite called into action just yet, but when they were found the clear required to keep this point alive, overtime could prove the difference maker there.
Yeah, as we can see, General Ombre now is just hitting so hard with the dash punches in his goal. Like, I feel like he can really like just defend this as long as he wants. He also has the burst, and we see the double ultimate flying over just a second too late as the barrier is already gone. And Juno is trying to snipe some kills with this kid, but it's not exactly working.
This is shaping up to be, in spite of, I'm just, you know what, table that, shelf that, I'm not even gonna finish that sentence, never mind, sure, whatever. It's just that one of those games, I guess. That is a second point on the board for the Bald Pregnant Men. They are continuing the warpath. They are entering their third trimester, some might say. Here comes the X, careening forward, getting it done. Good sequence there by Sloan to apply stun and take the bot side barrier.
good defense from Wolfstar too. Great flow chart to make sure that thing stays out of dodge. To say nothing of the strike, the backward strike shot on controller, by the way. That guy's on controller. Like, I see you, Hombre. Why not? Jump. Okay, that's my cue to stop talking.
We do see him indeed as he unfortunately manages to get his own barrier and then lose the other one to the Atlas. The Atlas burst over the top. Octavia really wants to go say hello, and so does Atlas, but miraculously he misses the goal just a bit, as the corner just happens to slide right back up to Jubu, who decides to shoot it straight at the Octavia, unfortunately.
Bruh, I feel like because all of Europe is like permanently on like 30 ping, so you can't even blame ping for that strike shot. That is just an unfortunate way to concede, but it does mean the marginally more whimsical comp has come up trumps here. Octavia is front and center, opts for the peak over the fighter flight. I guess that's a circumstantial pick, and I can't say I play Octavia. Doesn't. Oh, I was about to say that means Atlas goalie takes fighter flight, but that is not Atlas goalie. For the viewers at home. So actually that's an okay pickup. And yeah, you can feel free to speak about the rest of this draft.
Yeah, I mean, I want to say that it's an absolute miracle that now manages to get a rapid fire as a second to last pick there. As Octavia is really just left with nothing else, so she just happens to die, and unfortunately, and the X is really trying to make miracles here and just chase him down, but Gerald Umbre is in his goal. He forgets that there's nothing that can get past the Juliet Moon as you don't do the single barrier on the power play.
That is an unfortunate loss of the barrier there. This Julie just the Iron Spear is building fear, bro. This Octavia is just perma-banned from playing the game. Pum's Atlas. Hold on, this is Pum's Atlas. I didn't even register. This is Pum's Atlas, Spark and Strength Atlas. He's making it look like Atlas from the last patch with these kills he's finding. That is an interesting pickup. I didn't even register until now, but okay. The plot thickens, I guess, because this Atlas has pummelers.
An absolutely insane self-pass from Sonover that just slightly goes missed, but unfortunately, even though that is probably one of the best self-passes I've seen in my entire 3 years of playing this game, the quick just happens to slide right through Umbre because he was caught off guard.
That is, after long last, a point on the board for this low XP bar side, courtesy of some crazy angles, some crazy kills, some craziness all around. Also, the more principled of the triad, Jubu, was just locking it down, so shout out Jubu as well. And now, this blue side's looking to pick up right where they left off. They take one barrier, can't rob Julie of the second though. Crombie lays down the ultimate to great effect and also times the strike to perfection to bop and weave up and around that primary out of Crombie. But the pressure proves to be insurmountable. Once again, low XP bar has broken the door down and are now looking to search forward and find a goal.
It does look like low XP bar has to just use that evades to get past the Octavia ultimate, but it doesn't matter because they're fortunate enough to just get it up into the corner and just slide past through Umbres.
Unfortunate way to concede. It seems like each goalie in turn becomes the beneficiary, or rather the recipient of just
A sequence of really unfortunate looking goals. That can't be good for the mental. But it looks like Umbre has picked himself up, has found his footing, hits another smart clear. Juba loses his barrier all the while, but steps up in front of this slow X to keep the second one. Is proccing something? Oh, that's his egoist, right. I was wondering why he was so fast, but that makes sense. Oh, that is a preemptive flip if I've ever seen one. It means this X is all the more scary. Playing into a Dubu with one speck of dodge, one iota of dodge now that he's picked up an orb. But still, this X looking oh so threatening. But they're doing a good job to keep the ball away from a great possession play by this little XP par side to make sure they don't get flipped in the face.
They really are managing to keep the core away from their goal as much as possible, but unfortunately this Octavia is just too fast, so she can chase the core wherever she wants to. I mean, it doesn't look like her... and actually in the scratch shot, a beautiful save from the strike shot Juliet over in the goal over there. Miraculously saving the core.
I have no... I mean, actually, I have no words strictly because it's a Juliet. I feel like the flowcharts are actually like this. It's like I feel like they're identical to Low-key, they're identical to Doobie flowcharts. Does this team not have comms? Why is my Atlas pinging pass? Why? Is that just for the courtesy of the viewers at home? Like, just comment to them, whatever. It's okay. It's okay. But yeah, I do believe that Juno was on to something there. The pass down was definitely free. Just wanted to point it out for the viewers at home. In any case, Christ alive, this Atlas is bloodthirsty. I don't think the X has notched a single KO, and it's actually the Atlas deliver who's the one laying down the law here. And yeah, very interesting point to say the least.
Unfortunately, the now it happens to fall to the Octavia ultimate, and now Pulsar does have both bursts and the next in front of him who can just get the both barriers, and unfortunately, it just happens that Jubu not only bursts preemptively, but he also loses his barrier because his dash missed, and unfortunately, the coach just happens to slide right past him.
Yeah, his shot was just called a little early. Struck just a little bit early. Jubu called out there, and then gets struck right through off the floor flip. Early barrier take from the side of the bald pregnant net. Jubu unable to get up in time to save that one. Is left with just one, but on Night Market, that is not too much of a problem. That is a 6 KO streak for Juno on this Atlas. Why not? This game is just one of those games. And now GB is looking to work the ball on the power play up into this Atlas, but the angle off of the primary is insane. Never seen that one before. Does mean Umbre gets off scot-free. Doesn't even have to flip to retain the barrier, which is good. Because now this Atlas is built up to flip and rips it immediately for the kill, and that is another power play for the Jews.
Yeah, it's very clear that Slowness keeps trying to get some kills, but unfortunately it's just not connecting, and unfortunately once again Jubu just happens to miss the strike just barely so that it gets its own pair. But it's not over it because they still have a very powerful presence up top, and the Ombre's barrel does happen to fall.
Bald pregnant men struggling for a breakthrough here, but they're looking to capitalize off of some absolutely nutty core speed to try to just cheese it past this Jubu Dubu, but ultimately Jubu traps himself in a prison of his own design, hits a down clear of doom and despair, and the bald pregnant men are now well and truly entering their third trimester. They just have one more set to take to 3-0.
As we can see, Octavia is once again up front in the draft, and he can have honestly whatever he wants here. I think all of these are pretty good options on him, so he's gonna opt in to take the Spark, surprisingly. Actually, it's not surprising whatsoever, my bad. He does have Spark of Strength, so he just has even more cooldowns now to spam at the enemies. And now it does get the hot shot pickup, which is never bad. General Ombre seems to really love his basket, and as he takes it once again in this match as well. As X does opt in for the Reptile Remedy, surprisingly enough. Just for more survivability.
Yeah, I guess maybe you can also make the case, unless it's been passed up and I'm delusional, but I guess, wait, no, you can't make the case. I was going to say you can make the case that you scale and you take bulk up, but that would be betting on yourself to lose. So yeah, I guess it is strictly for survivability. No survivability needed for this X in that particular instance. Storms the keep and gets it done. Umbre plays a bit of a risky game there, but it was knew exactly what he was doing, shoving it right through Crombie with a good primary. Crazy defense by Oxy and Co. Are able to hold both barriers there, not even expending a lot of resources in so doing. Scary situation developing here in bot lane, to say nothing of the misinput from Ombre, which turns a scary situation on one of the pitch into a horrifying situation on the other, but they just about assuage it, and as we take into overtime once more, both teams on the precipice of something scary.
Yeah, Sloan does have burst, and Wolfstad is also coming up to his, but it looks like he won't need it as he manages to just strike the corner, straight into the corner of the goal, absolutely unpunished.
There we go. The ball goes through the bald pregnant men, continuing on the warpath. They are also one strike away from all having flip, which could get really scary. I think this Atlas is definitely going to start playing a lot less corn, a lot more bodies to just try to get some of this energy off the playing field. Might be the recipient of a kill himself, though. Nope. actually tries to immediately go find something with the secondary. Also tries to bait out the kill with the live. Okay, sure. Okay, sure. In reference to that clear as well. Straight into the hands of Sloan. He doesn't rip the flip all the while as Octavia has. So only 2 flips on the board here for this red side, but that should be more than enough to get something done.
Yeah, miraculously, the Corp just barely manages to slip past Umbre over there, and despite him having burst spikes, he just doesn't get the chance to use it. Now Sloan is in front of the barrier with burst, but he chooses to go get the orb instead at full energy, leaving his Octavia alone on the offense.
Bit of a melee here in the midfield. Wow, Umbre, not Umbre. Crombie playing very precariously up along the edge there in the face of it. Why not? Yep, that sounds like a siege machine strike shot GG wall right there. That'll happen. Unfortunate. GG's go next from that particular point. Not much you could do there. Unfortunate for Jubu there. He's been playing pretty alright, all things considered, and that was just luck of the draw. That's not even a skill issue. Good live thrown down by the Sadless here, demonstrating that he can also live in a pinch, isn't just a killer. Good baiting out of the flip by Crombie to try to resuscitate the hopes of this blue side. Low XP bar, kicking and screaming and biting and trying to get this thing through, but they just can't. The pregnant men are holding, and now they're on the offense. They take one barrier from Jubu, they're looking to take the second, but Juno is back in time to assist his brother in religion, and also gets a kill. Why not? And there is another power play for Crombie and the Jews, and they get it done in that particular instance. My co-caster is dead. Whatever. Okay, let's get back into things. Here we go. Everyone and their mother moshing in bot lane there. Oh, this just in. For the viewers at home, my co-caster has lost power. He has been struck by lightning. So it looks like I'm flying solo from here on out for the foreseeable future, but that's okay. I think I got the pipes to last a couple more points. Oh, but this is looking to be a merciful 1 point by the looks of things. Here comes Sloan. Sloan can't get on the end of the core there. Umbre doing a good job to win the defense. The wall from Jubu is smart. Gets it through. Misses the strike shot, though. That could prove costly. Going to be down a key ability for the next 4 seconds. Speaking of strike shots, great strike shot out of Umbre to retain the possession there and feed it right into Sloan, who doesn't even blow flip at the end of the day. And that is convincing 3-0 for the bald pregnant men. Convincing run for them altogether, winning both of their games. This one in a lot more decisive fashion than the other, it must be said, but definitely looking to be a scary team heading into finale. As is, I assume when they're not running a troll comp, as will be this low XP bar side as well. So all around, good games today. And congratulations to the 2 teams we just saw for punching their ticket to finale. They'll be meeting Andreas, Lend Us Your Power, and why am I blanking on the other team? You know who you are. You're also there, and those are our final 4, and really could be anyone's game. But that is, speaking of games, that is the last one for today. Please be around next Saturday, though, for the big finale. Lesbian LARPers, thank you. Lesbian LARPers is the fourth side. My bad. But yeah, get hyped for Saturday. Things are really going to come to a head. Will the people's team prevail, or will they be stopped by any of their adversaries? I guess we'll see. But that should be all for us today. Make sure to watch the Denver LAN. That will be on in about an hour and a half time. I'll be doing a side stream too, so if you hate whoever's on mainstream, come hit me up. But that's all good. That's all for the future. More importantly, be here Saturday to watch the finale, and that should be all from us. So GG's. Bye.